chassis being flat is the setup board.
It helps if I hit record.
Oh yeah.
All right, so start over real quick. Let's talk about cleaning the surface.
So we started off making sure the bottom of the chassis was clean. I noticed there's like some compound on there from racing it. We noticed this screw, and if I had my equipment with me, I'd pull it out and put that screw in there.
I'll take care of that.
Yeah, we'll fix it later because that's going to touch when the car leans, especially right there. That's where the motor and everything rubs.
Right.
And then we noticed that there's some glue on here, so we're going to find a spot for the Droop gauge, the blocks, that's going to sit, and that looks like pretty good, even with the fan and just behind the turnbuckle. I'm just eyeballing it there.
Right.
So when I set these down,
because right now we're not working on center of gravity of the chassis yet. We're just working on droop.
Right, just getting the droop
nice
set.
flat spot,
exactly
closest to the droop screws as possible.
Yeah, droop screws or shock towers, just somewhere to support the bulk of the car. And so we said even with that fan and just behind this turnbuckle. And then you're going to check that you don't have like a tweaked chassis. Which the first thing I'm noticing, come look at this, is I'm pushing down on this shock tower to see if
I have a broken top plate.
Yeah, the top deck's broken. So that may impact our droop setting here.
Yeah. Darn it. Okay.
Before I just quit on the video, I'll kind of walk through what I would do, but we definitely want to fix that if we're really going to set droop here.
Right.
I'm pretty sure these are 2.5. I like to take the shocks off when I check droop because, believe it or not, the little bit of tension in the screw, in the spring on the arm, will affect your droop. Sometimes, if your shocks are not long enough, it will limit your droop, and you think you're limiting your droop with the droop screw, but the shock length is what's keeping the arm. One of the reasons I'm always careful about setting the right shock length when I build my cars. But just so we can see, but I'm going to pop these off, keep them on the same side. And the droop screws on your car are these 1.5 millimeter set screws right here.
Right.
And essentially what we're doing, I'm going to put that wrench in there. If you look, if you get a shot of this, you can see how far off the droop is from this left side to this right side. Especially looking at it this way, you can see this arm is not hanging down nearly as far as this arm.
Right.
So I'm just going to get those even just by sight first of all. And as I turn that screw, you can see the arm raise. Sometimes a quick check is just to look at your dog bones.
Yep.
You know? So that gets it a little close, and now we can start setting the fine droop adjustment. I'm just going to set it at 4 to begin with, just because that's a number I use on my car that I know is close to about 2 millimeters of up travel. Now there are lots of ways to do this. You can set it by the number of millimeters that the car rises. Some people just hold down the tires.
Where do you measure from?
I always measure the lowest part of the arm.
Okay.
So outside, you can see there's an angle to it.
Okay, and not that little rubbing thing right there.
No, not the hub, but the lowest part of the arm right there.
Okay,
right that corner.
Okay, where the pins go through.
Yeah, usually that's where it is. I've worked on X-rays for so long that it's always in the same spot. But you can see it rises a little as I push it underneath there, so I'm going to keep raising the arm until it doesn't. But when I click on it, sometimes I'll tap on it and see, you can see the arm just barely moves right there. You see what I'm saying about such a fine adjustment? It's so precise. And then do the same thing on this side, and you can tell, wow, not 4 at all there. And this one I went too far, so you can see the arm move a little bit, so I'll go back down. You want to see that again? So as I push on it with my wrench, I can see it. Sometimes you can hear it, just a different click in the way it hits the aluminum, but I can see the arm just ever so slightly move. So I'll loosen the droop screw a little bit. Sometimes it's just those clicks, and that's perfect right there.
Okay.
So now your droop is even side to side at a setting of 4. We may be off, it may be 4.1 or 3.9, you know, but that's really close.
Okay.
So that's essentially, you're going to do the same thing on the front. The only thing I'd say is on the front of the car, you take the bumper off. It clears up the front so you can get to it, but you take the shocks off. Same droop screws, same.
Got it.
Same procedure.
That was pretty easy. I mean, it was pretty off.
That's okay. It happens with the shock top deck.